Good morning, and welcome to today's Feminine Leadership Activation Call. I am Tanya Lynn, and I will be guiding you through this call today all about the Queen's Code of Conduct. Every week we meet on these calls and we invoke the goddess and the high priestess and the queen. And today I'm really excited because we've already had a call all about the queen, and today we get to revisit her. She has definitely been the archetype that is popping up for me the most as I've stepped into motherhood. And so I'm really excited to share some more downloads. I'm just going to call them that, that came in the middle of the night of like, oh my goodness, the code's Queen of Conduct and these 4 pillars that came through. And so today that's what we're going to be sharing and talking about is how to invoke the power of the Queen in your own life, how to use her energy to manifest your deepest desires, how to create more time and space so you're not feeling as overwhelmed. And we're going to also dive into these 4 pillars so that you can really conduct yourself like a queen. So as usual, we're going to start with a little meditation just to ground into our bodies and to feel our breath and to arrive in the space. So take a moment to just close your eyes. If you can, placing your feet on the ground, imagining that you are a tree, a big oak tree, and your roots are growing deeper and deeper into the earth, feeling yourself physically grounding, taking yourself out of your head and bringing your energy down, 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 down into the earth. Finding your breath, noticing it. Does it feel shallow? Does it feel deep? Just breathing. The best way to become present is to just simply breathe. If you can, place both hands on your womb space. This is our power to create as women, whether that is to give the miracle of life or some other kind of miracle. We are so powerful as women with our creative energy, our Shakti force. Just for a moment, get present to how amazing it is to be a woman. And that might feel a little edgy or weird because women have been put down for centuries. It's been ingrained in us that it's not okay to be a woman. But just for a moment, as you have your hands on your womb and you get present to the miraculous nature of what it means to be a woman, to be able to create life, and to create miracles, and to just simply create. Just get present to the inspiration that you can give others. And so now we call in the Queen. She is an inspiration. Everyone wants to serve the Queen. She's beautiful, magnificent, regal. She's powerful. She holds her head up. So just feel your chest expand and tip your chin up a little bit. And feel your own queen, the embodiment of this powerful archetype, allowing her to course through your veins And let's call in all the powerful energy of the queens that have existed throughout lifetimes. The queens who have served their people. And opening your eyes. Welcome again. I'm excited to have all of you on this call right now. So the queen. A little bit about me, if you are meeting me for the first time, I'm Tanya Lynn, and I just became a mother. And my baby Callie was born on March 11th, 2015. Powerful little Pisces. I have this little song that I say, Mommy and Callie are little fishes in the big blue sea, just you and me, and she loves it. We're both Pisces. I'm also a Pisces. And I am the founder of Sistership Circle that is spreading all around the world right now. So exciting, where we bring women together for a 12-week experience to dive into what it means to be a woman, what it means to be a feminine leader, what it looks like to have sisters who have your back. It's beautiful. And we use the curriculum from my book, Open Your Heart, How to Be a New Generation Feminine Leader. And that book came out in March 2014 as a bestseller, right, with Ariana Huffington. She beat me out in the #1 space. I said, oh, I'll take it. So I was #2 in the personal development when I launched. It was pretty cool. So yeah, and that's what I'm going to share with you about me right now. And I'm just really excited about this content. So I just want to dive in. One of my favorite teachers is Allison Armstrong. And actually, she wrote a book called The Queen's Code. I haven't read it. I actually don't know what's in the book. But what I do know is that she really pulls on the archetype of the queen as well. And she teaches women how to be a queen in their relationships with men so that they can create this powerful dynamic with men where men actually want to give and be of service to the queen. And I've taken her queen course. I highly recommend all of Alison Armstrong's work. And so that has influenced me in terms of talking about the queen archetype and who you're being as someone who is able to receive contribution from others. And I'm constantly practicing that in my own relationship with my fiance. I'm so excited to announce that we're engaged, and we've set the date for October 1st to get married. So, you know, it's this, how do we get our men to show up? And I have a man who shows up. You know, I want to bring this in right now because whenever I ask him to do something, he does it. And I don't know if it's because he watched me rock my 24-hour birth or he just really sees my power and I claim it. But you know, when I ask him to do something, in the beginning he didn't. It was a lot of resistance, but something has shifted since I've given birth, and he shows up really powerfully for me. Even my mom was commenting how lucky I am to have a man who is so hands-on as a father, and he is. And so I feel very fortunate that I can continue to do my work raising a baby, and I don't know many women who go back to work as quickly as I do. Most of my friends took a much longer maternity leave, but that's because I have been stepping into the queen and have received so much support from Brent, from my family, from my community, and so it's made it possible. And I believe it's that queen energy. Brent wants to give to me because I'm so open to receiving, and it makes him feel good to give to me. And so if there's one thing I want you to get, and this comes from Alison Armstrong, is that all men really want to do is provide. All men want to do is provide. And so many times, women do not give them the opportunity to provide. No, I got it. I don't need your help, right? We try to be superwoman, and it really doesn't serve us or our men. So that's just, that was just what was coming to me, and giving you a little bit of context of where we're going is to be the queen, to embody the queen archetype, is to learn how to receive contribution from others. Doesn't just have to be men. It can be from your family, it could be from your community, it could be from your sisters. Can you open yourself up to be vulnerable and ask for the help that you need? And even when you don't need the help, to still ask for it, to allow others to contribute, which is actually the greatest way that you can give. We think we constantly have to be giving to others, but actually sometimes the best way for us to give is to allow others to give to us. We're giving them an opportunity to serve, to feel good about their contribution, to feel like they matter. Sometimes that's the greatest gift that we can give the people in our life. It feels very counterintuitive, but that is what giving is. Giving is receiving, receiving is giving. It's cyclical. They're one and the same. That's the law of receptivity. And for years, I was unable to receive. I was struggling financially. I was burned out because I was over giving, because what it came down to is I didn't feel like I was worthy of receiving the support. I had to prove myself by being superwoman and doing everything for everybody. And I was resentful, so resentful. And even though I had taken this Queen's course with Alison Armstrong back in, I want to say 2010, 2011, I could not wrap my head around this concept of allowing contribution and receiving. So this has been a huge shift where, you know, for the first 40 days after my birth, I had someone at my house every day. I was receiving something, whether it was a massage, food, people helping in all possible ways. And it really initiated me into my queen energy of, I just gave birth. I am literally giving all I've got to this little being by breastfeeding, and my body was wrecked from the birth, and I couldn't do it. I was at capacity. And so for us to be able to expand even greater, it's about allowing that contribution from others. So it was a huge wake-up call. It was a huge shift for me to allow someone to come in and do my dishes and vacuum and, you know, and all these things that's like, oh God, like, you know, it's like a lot of stuff came up around, am I really worthy of deserving this support right now? And I was like, yeah, I'm giving this to Callie. You know, like, it's not like I'm just sitting here doing nothing. I can barely walk and I'm breastfeeding, and, you know, it was like all those things. But I had to have that moment when my hands were literally tied for me to open myself up to that level of receiving. So I want to talk about that a little bit. Of, you're probably like, okay, so how do I actually incorporate that into my life? How do I evoke the power of the queen? And the number one thing here is starting to understand, and it's not even understanding, it's starting to embody your self-worth, your inherent self-worth, not based on you doing anything, but simply on who you're being. And that's where this code of conduct is going to come in. It's a way of being. It's how we're showing up in the world. It's also the actions that we take, but it's really just how we're holding ourselves. And so when you can start to get that, wow, I'm worthy of receiving support simply because of who I am, because I was born, and because of who I'm being and how I help others feel, not based on what I'm doing and proving myself. And this is the shift. It all comes down to that self-worth. And when you can get down to the deep, deep core of your being and own your self-worth, not attached to any hat that you wear, any mask, any identity, any role. And worth has nothing to do with how much money you make or what accomplishments you make in the world. None of that is about your self-worth. Your inherent self-worth comes from a state of being, of actually doing nothing. And so your practice is to start creating space to do nothing, to try out what it feels like to rest in the nothingness. And that is like absolutely terrifying, and why most people won't go there to the silence and stillness and the nothingness is because they're afraid of what feelings are going to arise, or what thoughts or memories are going to arise in the space of nothingness. And our own question of existence comes up. And so I had this experience before I got pregnant, the year before I got pregnant, of going into the nothingness and confronting my own death. And it was so scary because I thought, without my identity as the CEO of Tribal Truth, without my identity as Tanya Peluso in the world, without my identity as leader, as all these different things, do I exist? Do I matter? If I don't have any of that, if I erase all my accolades, all my accomplishments, do I matter? Do I still have the right to take up space on this planet? And so I had to kill everything and get to the nothingness and find myself there, stripped completely naked. And it's interesting because I started to actually become more comfortable being physically naked as well, and letting go of all these limited beliefs and all of these judgments and all of this shame and all of that, just like letting it go and getting down to, wow, without anything, with no money in my account, literally, the week before, I've talked about this on previous calls, the week before my book launch, I had no money. It's like tapped out, no credit card access, nothing. And I was like, I'm still living, right? What is our deepest fear? Of dying, public speaking, right? Those are two of the greatest fears. And we have this fear of death because it's like, well, what is on the other side of that? It's a complete unknown. And the beingness, the nothingness is a complete unknown. It's a mystery. And that is the feminine. That darkness, that nothingness, that mystery is where the feminine energy arises. The miracle of life, the creation, right? That it's like the whole universe is in that space in between the nothingness, just the being. And I had to have that visceral experience of letting go of everything that I'm doing. Can I still exist? And will I still live? And it was actually in that of letting go of the whole world and getting to the being, but then I saw that money can actually come through just on who I'm being. And that was like this whole crazy paradigm shift of like, wow, do I actually have to do anything truly to make money? And it's interesting, I'm having so many conversations about the Master of Circle leadership and all these women saying, oh, I don't have the money. And I'm like, is it that you don't have the money, or you're not owning your self-worth at that deep down core level? Because that's where we learn then to receive. That's where the queen starts to operate. The queen is totally embodied and doesn't really have to do anything. And so she's got her whole court serving. And she can literally just sit there looking beautiful and regal and magnificent in her chair, and the whole kingdom is working. The queen bee, she's not the worker bee. The bees are all working, and the queen bee, she's just being. And I love that, like the pun on bee, right? The queen bee just bees. She's being. That is the core message here. From that place, from finding the stillness, by resting in the depth of your being, by no longer being scared of the nothingness and the unknown and the mystery, you've now landed in full trust and surrender. And now the energy can arise from that place. And now you can create and you can take actions, and your purpose could come from that. So it's like I destroyed and uncreated my whole world, and then reconstructed and recreated it very much similarly to what I had before, but it was coming from a new place. It was coming now from a place of self-worth and not attachment or needing to prove myself or needing any of these things to survive. I was no longer coming from that scarcity. I now was coming from the place of abundance, knowing that all of my needs would be provided and taken care of by the universe, because the universe is just always going to give me exactly what I need. And now I had that trust that was coming from my being. And so then things started to show up. So when I talk about manifesting with the queen's energy, it's that you're actually rooted in abundance first, because you get that the universe is always going to give you exactly what you need. Always. And it's like, well, no, but the universe is giving me these obstacles. Well, that's exactly what you need. Can we stop making things bad and wrong because they're not what you think they should be? There is no bad and wrong. There's obstacles that might come up. There's things that aren't pleasant. They don't create a pleasant sensation in your body, but those are actually God's grace to help you move through something and heal something, so that you can start to live in the abundance, so you can start to attract the things that you do want. You have to clear the old things. So if you're constantly in the same relationship over and over again, and it's like, why do I keep attracting these drug addicts? This was me. And I was just going to keep attracting that over and over again until I actually faced it and went and saw the mirror of where was I actually creating that as a mirror, and then healing that, because that was coming from something around I'm not deserving, I'm not worthy, I don't matter. So I was going to keep attracting that thing until I healed it. And then I was like, you know what? I'm letting that go. That's no longer in my space anymore, because I had actually faced it. And I actually went to the source of it. And the source is never out there. It's not the guy. It's not the car accident. It's not the lost job. It's not your mother. It's within you. You are the source. And so this is now leading us into the 4 pillars of the code of conduct. And so the first pillar is radical responsibility. Radical responsibility for your life, because you are the source and you are the ultimate creator of your life. You are co-creating with a higher power, and you're co-creating with God, source, whatever you want to call it. But if you can get the marriage of that and get that God is within you, or that source of energy is within you, because remember, you're a woman and you have that power to create. That energy is within you, that Shakti life force. You are responsible for your entire life and every single thing that shows up within it. The good, the bad, the ugly, whatever judgment that you want to put on it, you can actually let that go and just see it as, this is all what I need for me to get closer to oneness, to truth, to love. And what I distinguish is truth is love, is oneness. That's the ultimate truth. And so that's why we're here. This is what I've really gotten, is that we're here to find that ultimate truth, to become one with all that is. So there is no bad and wrong. It's all just mirrors. So now if I can rest in the oneness and the connection of it all, that we are all connected. And so you are me, I am you, in all of your shadow and all of your light. It's just a reflection of myself. So can I take radical responsibility for the life that I'm leading, the circumstances that show up, the obstacles, all of that? Can I get that I created it all to help me heal, to help me get closer to love, get closer to oneness, get closer to the ultimate truth? And I think this is, like, if we can call it self-realization. I don't necessarily agree with that term because it's not about the self, but you're realizing yourself as oneness. So responsibility is the ability to respond to life. The ability to respond, not react. Reaction is, that's bad, that's wrong. No, I don't want that. I wrote this Facebook post yesterday about leaning into love. And I received this email that was extremely triggering. And my reaction, the reaction I wanted to take was, F you, like, I'm never talking to you again. You're a jerk. I don't need that energy in my life, right? How many times have you done that? I do it all the time, right? That's the reaction. That's actually not truth. It's a reaction. The response, the ability to respond, is to understand, wow, I'm having a trigger in my body right now. It does not feel good. Where is that coming from? It's not coming from her. She's mirroring something in me because I've created her, because I'm ultimately responsible for my life and the circumstances that arise and what life is giving me. So this is actually giving me something that I need right now to heal something and to get me closer to love. So I took a deep breath, I took it to my yoga mat, and I was fuming, raging. I was so triggered the whole practice. And I was like, oh my God, I can't believe she sent that. I felt so misunderstood. And there it was. I was feeling misunderstood, unheard, like my intentions weren't being seen, and I felt like I was being made bad and wrong. And she was like, you're disrespectful and this and that. And I was like, no, that wasn't my intention at all, right? But breathing into that, I was like, wow, this is coming from my own little girl who feels hurt and feels unseen and unheard and misunderstood. And what's underneath that? That I'm feeling like I'm not good enough. I didn't do it right. And that's where it always comes down to. Whenever someone is triggering you, if you can bring it right back down to the source of why that's coming, and then to nurture yourself and to tell that little girl it's okay, and to say, oh, this is just triggering that not good enough conversation. Okay, that's where this is coming from. Sigh of relief. Feel that pain. Feel it fully. And now, instead of reacting from that hurt place that's now going to harden and be angry and lash out or cut off, disconnect. Now, can I lean in with love and create affinity, create connection with this person who's just a mere reflection of myself? And so my response is, I'm so sorry. Can you accept my apology? That was never my intention. And to be honest, I was really hurt. I was really triggered. But that's not my truth. My truth is not to cut you off. My truth is to lean into this and to let you know what my intention was and to let you know I didn't mean any harm, and I am sorry for having any impact on you. Cause and effect, right? So I impacted her in some way. So can I take radical responsibility for that? And this is a whole new way of operating in the world. Do you get that? Do you get that we're not actually being taught to take full responsibility for ourselves and our actions, and to get that everything is a mirror? We're not ever being taught how to respond versus react. We watch our governments react. They're very reactive. They're very defensive. It's all about protection. Radical responsibility is about understanding how we put up our walls to create disconnection, and how to actually go within and open the door up of our heart. Opening the door, opening our heart to love. Because love is the truth. Love is all there is the illusion. What is there to fear? Ultimately, what is there to fear? Death. Why do we not feel safe physically? Because we're afraid of dying. So if we can let that go, and this is how I was able to get there, right? Is that I literally allowed myself to die, to get to the nothingness, to get to the being, and to get that I'm still okay, I'm still living, I'm still breathing. Oh, I'm safe within myself now. So now I could open my heart as I start to cultivate that safety within myself, that trust within myself, knowing that I am one with the universe and I am connected. And the more that I practice that, the more I can expand my heart, the more love I can give. Isn't that ultimately what we want to do as women? We just want to love and nurture, and we just want to be that radiant energy in the world. And we're scared, we're terrified, we've been hurt, we've been burned so many times. It's so hard to open the heart when you've been heard, or when you've been hurt. You haven't been heard. You've been crushed. Your feelings have gotten hurt, and you don't want to feel that pain. This is a healing. This is ultimately where we're wanting to get to. So the queen, and when I use this code of conduct, how I'm operating and the actions that I'm taking, who I'm being in the world as someone who is the embodiment of love and really is not operating from fear and is filled with possibility. The miracles. So the second, and this brings us into the second pillar, regal excellence. Regal excellence. What would it look like if you held yourself in that poise of regal, majestic, your head high, your shoulders back? How does that feel if you actually do that in your body right now? Your heart's open and expanded. I feel the opening in my chest, my head's up. There's a confidence, that regalness, and you can always think about just holding your head high. That's the regal, the way you actually stand in the world. Start to notice your body language, how you're holding and composing your body. Are you folding your arms to protect yourself? Are you crossing your legs? Is your head down? Is your chin tucked? Are your shoulders concave? You're closed up. How can you shine in the world as a feminine leader? Opening up your petals. You are a flower. Opening up, blossoming, and now the bees can come. Excellence. So for me, I think about like excellent customer service, getting excellent grades in school. It's like peak performance. It's giving your best. What if we were always coming from that place of wanting to give our best and conducting ourselves in a way that was just excellent? That's going to make you feel better. That's going to make others feel better. And now you're raising the bar. What would come in the way of that? Well, as a kid, you felt like a failure. That didn't feel possible. It felt impossible. You didn't get good grades. But it is possible. It is possible to constantly be conducting yourself with excellence. And how we start to do that, here's the practice, is to slow down, have focused intention, and be deliberate with our actions. Mindfulness, right? So if I'm running around and I'm having this frantic energy, I might drop something, right? This is how we drop the ball in our life. We are in this frenetic energy and we've got a million plates that we're juggling. And so we've got all these plates in the air and one of them is going to come crashing down. When we slow down, when we pause, if you notice the theme here is it's all in the breath. It's all in the spaces in between, the stillness and the silence. Accessing those points, slowing down and being more deliberate. Now I can actually have mindful awareness of the actions that I'm taking and be mindful of how do I raise the bar here? How do I have this be excellent? Not just average, extraordinary. and maybe I'm going to change this to regal extraordinaire. I don't know. No, regal excellence, but excellence, extraordinary. I don't want to live an ordinary life. I don't. I don't want to just do things as status quo. I'm not interested in that. Feminine leaders, we're about changing the status quo. We're about making impact, about making our mark, which comes down to being extraordinary, going above and beyond, and being excellent. That's what I'm striving for. I used to be having so many things on my plate, and I was so not present because I was doing a million things. And I was still able to, I always had a great capacity, and I was always striving for excellence, but I was dropping the ball. And when I can slow down, I can access excellence. And so if I'm on the receiving end of this, how would I want to be treated? And how can I blow people out of the water? This is like excellent customer service is like blowing that customer out of the water. So if you're running a business and you're providing excellent customer service and wowing people, guess what? You're going to get more business. So are you operating from that place in your business and other areas of your life? And that's where it's like, well, we want the return business. We want people to have this incredible experience and they want to come back for more. I want to add that extra value. What is that little extra thing that I can do? Like leaving chocolates and a flower on the bed, the meticulousness, but taking that extra moment, not rushing to the next thing, taking that extra moment. This has been a challenge for me, but it's a practice. It's a practice of mindful awareness and slowing down and asking myself, how can I just do this just a little bit better to make a little bit better of an impression? And this isn't about ego and it's not coming from that place. It's coming from worthiness. When we own our self-worth, and it's coming from that place of being of, I'm amazing. You want to create that experience all around you. That's what you want to be in the world, is you want to be amazing. And you're owning that. Our third pillar is compassionate rigor. I've been using this term since I think 2008, 2009. And it's always stuck with me. And it's about accountability. So the queen, she has a lot of people serving her, right? And part of allowing others to serve is to hold others accountable. And this is something that we come up against a lot, right? Of, well, it's just so much easier if I do it because he's not going to do it as good as me, or he's not going to do it as fast as me, or whatever it is. And so we take accountability away from others. Or we're in circle. I'll use this as an example with circle. We're in circle and someone's not showing up. And we don't hold them accountable to the agreement that they said that they were going to be there. Compassionate rigor is being in that place of integrity, coming from excellence, coming from extraordinary, coming from amazingness, and holding that. Holding people to their greatness. And there's a rigor that comes with that, right? Of, I know you as amazing and great. And this action that you're taking is not in alignment with that. So first, that comes from having our own compassionate rigor of having my actions, having my words be in alignment with excellence, with my amazingness, with my self-worth. So again, it comes down to I have to own my self-worth and now come out and have my align all of my intentions, my actions, my words, have all that be aligned with my self-worth as I'm amazing. I love myself, right? I am an incredible human being. I'm a queen. So now I'm going to have my actions be in alignment with that. And I'm going to have rigor in those moments when I want to be lazy and I don't want to show up fully like that. I'm going to have compassion for myself of it takes something and acknowledge myself for what it takes and hold myself to that integrity. And from me doing that for myself, I can now do that for others. So when someone slips and they don't show up, can I still have compassion for that person if something might be going on for them, right? And can I also hold them accountable to their greatness and who they say that they want to be? So that's compassionate rigor. And this integrity piece of what would it look like if we really lived from a place of integrity? Integrity of doing what I say I'm going to do and doing what's just in alignment with who I say I am. Not just what is coming out of my mouth, not just the commitments I'm making, but who I'm being as a queen. Integrity is that everything is in alignment with that. So now it's the foods I eat, the exercise that I'm doing, the way I'm talking to people, the actions that I take. All of that is in alignment with excellence, with my extraordinary queendom. I just kind of made that up. But can you see that? Can you see what integrity really is? What if you strive to live your life in that way? What would then be possible and open up in your life? Some incredible things. You can start having that business that you love and making the money so you don't have to be working a 9-to-5 job. You can be doing what you love. It all comes from integrity. Doing everything in alignment with who you say you're being. And then our final pillar is my favorite and also the hardest, exquisite self-care. The queen is constantly filling her cup. She's not running on empty. She takes care of this vehicle, right? If you're driving a Ferrari, you're going to make sure that it's not getting any nicks in the, it's not getting any dents. You're filling it up with gas. You're making sure it's getting extra oil changes, premium oil, right? You're taking care of that car, that vehicle that transports you, and it's a beautiful car. What if your body is that Ferrari? So now, how are you taking care of this beautiful body? This vehicle that allows you to have this human experience. What foods are you eating? Are you getting enough rest? Are you making sure that your joints are lubricated? That your body is fluid? That you're taking care of this temple? That's really what it is. It's a temple, beautiful temple. Exquisite self-care. I've heard this term many times, one by a friend, Monica Frazier, and she's just all about that exquisite self-care, and it's just beautiful. It's going above and beyond just eating right and exercising. It's getting body work. It's taking bubble baths, right? It's massage. It's putting lotion on your body. It's going and just laying out in the sun. reading a book underneath a tree, just anything that's going to have you recharge, refill your cup. You cannot serve if you are on empty. I have learned this. This has been the hardest lesson for me as a mother, is I've got work time, I've got relationship time, I've got social time, I've got baby time, and then there's me time. And the me time is about the exquisite self-care, and I know when I'm at my limit. And it's like, okay, I'm feeling this, I'm feeling low blood sugar, I'm tired, I'm getting cranky. I don't want to act like that. That's not regal excellence. That's not me being in alignment with who I am in the world, right? I don't want to be that person. So I need to take care. I need to rest. I need to make sure that I'm recharging, I'm refilling my cup. So last piece here is, okay, so how do I create the space? How do I create the time? And it's first, number one, breathing. Number two, you schedule. You use a schedule, just like you have an appointment. You're going to schedule in that me time. You're going to schedule it in. Might be 5 minutes. That's fine. Get in the habit. It takes 21 days to form a habit. Get in the habit of creating that time. When I was really struggling with this, I signed up for one of those year-long massage programs. And so I was forced to go every month. And it was in my calendar. And I didn't miss it. Same thing with yoga. I did a 20-day challenge, and it forced me every day to go to yoga. And a lot of the times I would go to the restorative class. And it was literally an hour where I didn't have baby. I didn't have my partner like bugging me or anything, or the phone ringing. I was on my mat. And sometimes in restorative, they'd be doing other poses, and I would just be on my back with a bolster under me, with my arms open to open my heart, and I just laid there. That was my time for me. I had that scheduled in. There was nothing that was going to come in the way of that daily yoga practice. And then there were some days when I just did not even have the capacity to go, and I was like, okay, I'm going to give myself a break, and I'm going to rest, but I'm going to take an hour to rest. And it's still, during that time, I was in bed. I used that time, me time. So that's what we got time for today. And I'm hoping that you can incorporate, I've given a lot of little practices for you today. And I'm hoping that you can start to implement at least one. That would be my request. Can you create some me time? Can you breathe a little bit? Can you find some stillness and silence? If you've noticed, if you've been on a lot of these calls, you'll notice that's a huge theme, presence. So that is our call for today. If you want to find any of the past recordings, they are all at sistershipcircle.com/activation-calls. And I will see you next week for our next call, and we'll see what inspiration comes through. I'll keep you posted, and thank you so much. Namaste.